San Antonio's Sports Center.
Well, no Kristaps Porzingis for the Spurs as the Celtics have been busy. Last night they traded Drew Holiday, the Portland Trailblazers, in exchange for Anthony Simons and a couple of second-round picks. And just moments ago, Kristaps Porzingis went off the board along with a second-round pick to the Atlanta Hawks in a three-team trade that sent Terrence Mann and Atlanta's 22nd pick to the Nets and Georges Niang and a second-rounder to the Celtics.
If you smoke, take it outside. Get the facts at don'tpassgas.org.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous, I don't paint.
That ball is history! A walk-off home run!
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Appreciate you listening, however you may be listening, whether that's on 94.1 on your FM dial, if you happen to be locked in and listening at sasportstar.com, or maybe you're watching it on YouTube. That's right, we stream all of our shows live via the YouTubes. Just go there, search SA Sports Star. Go ahead and subscribe while you're there. You're allowed to comment along with the show while you're there. Fred Records already saying the NBA trades heating up. They are. You can also feel free to call in at 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776 if you want to be a part of the conversation. And there's a lot to get into. As Fred Records says, trades are heating up. And it sucks because there was a name that just went off the board in Kristaps Porzingis that, once Kevin Durant went off the board, I was like, okay, what do you do? And Porzingis and the Celtics and those names became available. And I'm like, wow, Porzingis kind of kills two birds with one stone. He's a 7-footer. He's a center. He allows Wemby to play kind of a little further away from the basket and protect him as a big while also being a floor spacer and a rim runner. Like he checks so many boxes of things the Spurs need. And the common complaint I keep hearing is, well, he's always hurt. He's always hurt. You know who else was always hurt? Chris Paul. He just played 82 games for the San Antonio Spurs. Maybe the Spurs medical team is pretty damn good. And maybe they can help Kristaps Porzingis, or maybe you just take a flyer on a guy that has 1 year left on his contract anyway to see if it works. Because right now, the Spurs have not put any pieces around Wemby that fit around Wemby. Yeah, Claymore, been saying that. Porzingis gone. He's on the Hawks. I'm saying why he would have fit with the Spurs. But a bunch of people don't want him on the San Antonio Spurs. Try joining the show on time, Claymore, if you're going to talk smack in the chat. Just saying. No, Porzingis would have been a great fit. A lot of Spurs fans didn't want him here. He's now in Atlanta. And that's okay. It was part of my Sports Center. It's just everybody wants them to make a move, yet nobody wants them to make a move. And it's the weird thing. It's the weirdest thing when it comes to Spurs fans. They're so divisive on everything. You gotta get better. You gotta get into the play. Can't skip steps. Can't trade the number 2 pick. You got to make a move at some point. You got to break an egg to make an omelet. And it's at some point, you have to make it up. You have to find a way to make a move to help improve this roster around Wemby to fill the holes that are there. And I'm not trying to burn you, Claymore, I promise. No third degree burns. I'm just saying, you coming at me in the chat, like I'm tying it all in because I talked about it off the rip. And then I started talking about how he fits the Spurs. Now I'm talking, it's a puzzle. You gotta watch it all come around full circle. Yeah, you put Fox around Wemby. Do we know Fox even fits around Wemby? Right? They've had 5 games together. We need like there's a way to build a team like they did around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There's a bunch of defenders that lock in and floor spacers that keep the lane open for SGA. And every NBA team, they're built differently. The Nuggets are built completely different from the way that the Thunder are built. The Pacers are built different from that. The Celtics, but you got to find a way to complement your best player. And the only thing the Spurs have done, they spent a year trying to figure out what Wemby does best. Cool. We figured out what he does best. Now you got to figure out how to build around him. And I don't think they've done anything to add pieces. They added veterans to teach him how to be veterans, how to teach all the young guys to be veterans. But this team, since Wemby has gotten on it, still has the same exact flaws that it's had since the second he was drafted. There's no big to help protect him. There's no floor spacing, and there's no dirty work, guys. And let's face it, if Wemby's not on the court, this is one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. You can talk about Sohan being a great defender or Vassell or whoever you want. They're not. Do they have attributes that could eventually make them great defenders? Sure, but they're not. And I don't know if they're ever going to get there because defenses want to. You have to want to on defense to take that next step defensively. Wemby obviously wants to because the Spurs are one of the better defensive teams when he's on the floor because he's an eraser. But you can't be that bad of a plus minus between him being on the floor and off. It's not good. Their defensive efficiency plummets at a rate that and it's because they don't have anything else down low. They have no other bigs. And the other guys on the court aren't great defenders. So Wemby erasing their mistakes become glaring weaknesses when he isn't on the floor. And you need to start getting people that fit a culture or a mindset of being defensive first, of putting things in the right order, of being in the right spot, of taking accountability. How many times have you watched games, Spurs fans, that you are disgusted with the defense that is played? Like absolutely disgusted because let's face it, this is the team that was built on defense during its dynasty years. I don't need them to skip steps. I don't need them to, but you got Castle, you got Fox, you're about to draft Harper. Those are 3 guys with the exact same skill set for the most part. Now you've got Wemby. Your best floor spacing option is somebody you brought in via trade for De'Aaron Fox in Harrison Barnes. After that, it's Julian Champagnie. You need more on the floor to help complement what you're trying to build around. And maybe you're not trying to make Victor Wembanyama the alpha on offense. That's fine. Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox, they can help lessen that scoring load off of his shoulders. So he doesn't have to be the end-all be-all on offense, but he is the end-all and he is the be-all on defense, and they need to be better. The Spurs have the three pillars I think they need in Fox, Castle, and Wemby. But the rest of the team around him is not great. They don't play great. They don't play great together. And that's the biggest issue. This team needs to gel and come together, or you need to blow up the ancillary pieces around what your foundation is. I understand Sohan and Vassell and Keldon are fan favorites. But sometimes you got to get rid of a fan favorite like Jalen Green to actually take yourself to the next level. That's why you have to do things in a certain order. But it feels like the Spurs have been stuck at the ground level since they drafted Wemby. And it has been small, incremental growth. Rio on our YouTube Live saying, keep Sheldon and Sohan. Okay. Why? Because you like them? Because they're good people? Those other pieces that surround, those are important pieces to championship contenders. That's what makes, and that's why super teams have been so fickle, because they're just throwing stars together and they don't fit together. Not in the way that they should. The reason it worked in Miami is because Chris Bosh knew he had to take on a role that wasn't conducive to the salary he was being paid. His role was going to be completely different to what his actual pay was. And he was okay with that. The reason the Bulls worked so well in the 90s is because guys fit into their roles. Whether it was Steve Kerr or Dennis Rodman, even Scottie Pippen, despite all the drama that went on there. Everybody knew what their function on the team was, and they fit into that function perfectly well. I just want to see the Spurs make some moves that help to elevate the roster. I thought Porzingis could have been one of those moves. The Spurs reportedly engaged the Celtics. There was a level of interest reported. And judging by the price that he went for, it wasn't a lot. So what are the Spurs going to do to make this roster better around Victor Wembanyama? Because maybe he is an anomaly. Maybe he will want to spend his entire career in San Antonio regardless of winning. But at some point, making the playoffs was probably on his list. And they need to start to put the pieces in place to get there. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. When we come back, the pieces, the biggest pieces, may be in place to at least challenge what could be a potential dynasty in the NBA. Well, the Morning Huddle was talking about earlier today the top 5 threats to Oklahoma City. Could Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs be one of them? We'll discuss next right here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
San Antonio Sports Star.
See website for details. Bills happen is not a lender. It does not make credit decisions. Must be 18 years old. Not available in all states.
Honey, everything is so expensive, and our bills are piling up.
You're telling me credit cards are maxed out, rent is due, and the car payment's right around the corner? We need some extra cash.
We should do what my friend from work did. She went to billshappen.com and got the money she needed the next day.
Our credit is not great. Are you sure that would work for us?
Bills Happen is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with all credit types get up to $5,000.
Sounds like it's going to be a hassle.
My friend said it was super easy. She did it right from her phone during her lunch break.
If you have a regular source of income, you can be approved for a loan for up to $5,000, and your cash can hit your bank account the next day. BillsHappen.com's lenders have millions of dollars to lend, regardless of your credit history.
Guess what? I went to billshappen.com and we're getting our money tomorrow.
Wow, that's fast. Problem solved.
If you need extra cash, go to billshappen.com. That's billshappen.com. Billshappen.com.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
George gets justice.
At George Salinas Injury Lawyers, we don't just represent crash victims, we fight for them. When an accident impacts your life, my team and I are committed to obtaining the justice you deserve. We approach every case with dedication because each one is personal to us. Our promise, no payment unless we win. Call 210-225-0909 or visit getgeorge.com.
George gets justice. Getgeorge.com.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pleasure. You can follow me on all the socials at I Am Pleasure. Follow the station at SA Sports Star. You can also watch the show on YouTube at SA Sports Star. Go ahead and like, subscribe. You can comment along like Kudzu did. What moves do I want the Spurs to make? Well, I've said it a few times before. I'm happy to repeat myself. I think moves like going after Cam Johnson in Brooklyn or going after a Trey Murphy, dependent on price, obviously. I saw the initial asking price for a Trey Murphy, and that's way too much. But I also saw what they gave up CJ McCollum for today, and part of me thinks they're about ready to tear it down and start over around Zion Williamson down there. Herb Jones down there as well. Brooke Lopez in free agency. I mean, there's a multitude of moves that they can make to help improve this roster. And a lot of it remains to be seen because we are coming in towards not even the beginning of free agency. So you can't make any moves outside of just acquiring players via trade. But Gershon Yabusele, French teammate of his, he's had a really weird like time in the NBA in terms of he was drafted super early. And I mean, it's just such an interesting path for him. He was drafted at age 21, unable to call or he was drafted in 16, excuse me. He came stateside a year later and was with the Celtics from 17 to 19. Then he goes back overseas for a while to cook. Then he makes a second go around in the league, spending this past year with the Philadelphia 76ers. And in that time, he averaged 11 points, almost 6 rebounds, shot 38% from 3. He's like 6'9". He can play the 3 or the 4. He's on the French national team, so obviously there is a Wemby aspect to it. Can't get Steven Adams, who was re-signed by the Houston Rockets. Hector Jimenez on our YouTube says he likes how Keldon motivates his teammates in the crowd. Great cheerleader guy. Yeah, hype squad. Sure. It's about $20 million a year. But I like him in his role off the bench. I don't hate Keldon Johnson, but you can obviously upgrade from a Keldon Johnson. I think Devin Vassell, probably if he's not willing to accept being kind of the third, like he just doesn't seem like he knows how to fit into a third or fourth option role within the starting unit, yet the Spurs keep cramming him into the starting unit. I always thought Stephon Castle gelled a lot better with that starting unit because he doesn't necessarily need the ball or have to be ball dominant to be effective on the floor. Devin Vassell seems like he needs the ball to be effective. Why not put him on that second unit with Keldon and be like, when y'all are on the floor together, go ham. Go at it. But you got to find a way to make things happen to help bring this team to another level. And let's face it, another level is going to be making a play-in. Couple of levels is making the playoffs. They're a long way away from being a threat to Oklahoma City. But Morning Hull was talking about it this morning. There are 5 threats, according to this article, to the Oklahoma City potentially being a dynasty. Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs could be one of those threats.
I've been a big proponent of, I believe that the Thunder are about to become a dynasty. I think they'll probably win. I think they'll win at least 2 out of 3, and I think they'll be in a 4th.
You're swimming upstream.
I know.
I mean, I think that they are as likely as any team in the last 10 years to do just that. Well, but I know that this is a very strange world, and Giannis could be wearing a Spurs uniform next week.
There is a list of the 5 most likely threats to a potential Thunder dynasty. And they're ranked 5 through 1. Number 5 is Mark Walter, who is now the owner of the LA Lakers.
Yes, absolutely.
He certainly counts as a.
They already got a healthy, skinny Luka, evidently.
Yeah. So yeah, that one makes sense. Number 4, Nikola Jokic.
Oh, that's a diminishing threat. It's bigger today than it will be tomorrow and the following day. But yeah, next year he's still a threat.
How much longer is Jokic going to be the best player on earth?
Man, the thing about his game is it's not predicated on athleticism. It's not about his physical stature. He's got a game that will translate for a long time. I'm not worried about that game. I'm worried about his want to play the game more than anything else.
Number 3, the disease of more.
Yes.
It talks about the show back in the Showtime days when Pat Riley was in charge. He coined the phrase the disease of more. Basically, he argued that once a team wins a title, everyone starts wanting more money, more shots, more fame, more everything. There's only so much of all that to go around. Age is probably the single greatest dynasty slayer. The disease of more probably comes in second. It killed the Jordan era Bulls prematurely. Jerry Krause wanted to build his own non-Jordan based roster. Pippen wanted to get paid. It killed Kobe and Shaq. Bryant wanted to be the centerpiece. And it says it wouldn't be fair to say it ended Golden State's dynasty. The Warriors won in 2022, but Kevin Durant's frustrations with his place in Golden State surely contributed to their dip after 2019. And elements of that is what pushed Klay Thompson out the door last summer. Now,
that was also age.
I also think the Thunder, being as young as they are and just the way they seem to get along, it does seem like they are less likely to be.
Well, there's still a bunch of kids, and they're going to be exposed. I mean, they're kid millionaires. The disease of more won't kick in next year. I'm not worried about next year. It's once they do it 2 times in a row, and they now know for a fact, hey, I am this good, I am capable, and I think Jay will be the guy that suddenly goes, I need to make a decision about the arc of my career now, because I think they're going to be back in the title game and very well could win another one. You'd be crazy if you didn't think they were going to win it next year. But there's just too many variables. There's just too much out there that allows teams to get better fast. And it happens. It's already happened literally the day of. The team that was in second place in the West got better. And there'll be more to it. And the disease of more will kick in. It just will, because there'll be 2 or 3 guys, and we won't hold it against them. Shoot, go get paid. Your career is only 5 years. Go get paid. So, but the disease of more affects every championship team.
Number 2, Victor Wembanyama, a.k.a. Hector Banana Bread. It says,
yeah, maybe.
Jokic is the NBA's best player today. Wembanyama may be the NBA's best player tomorrow, literally. Now, it says here, reports before he was drafted stated that there were people around the league that thought he could be the NBA's best player by his 3rd season, and little has happened in his first 2 should have dissuaded them from aside from the blood clot at the end of the season. His health is the biggest question mark here. For me, I agree the health is always going to be the biggest question mark for him, and I see the brilliance of what Wemby can be, but I don't think of Wemby as like knocking on the door of like next year being an MVP candidate. Like,
well, he's not that far away, man. He really isn't. I mean, considering the talent that he's been around and the situations he's been thrust into, his rookie year, his point guard for the first 6 months of his career was Jeremy Sohan. Then his other point guard was a cast-off wannabe, a guy we liked, but not a starting point guard in the NBA. So he had zero help. So then you go get a top 5 point guard, and you add that to the mix. And then to take some more pressure off of him, you go get another rookie of the year who can put the ball on the floor and stretch things out. So Wemby's necessary skill set, while it's still growing, he doesn't need to do all the things he even did 2 years ago to get himself back. I see everything, but I also know we still haven't seen it done. Everything is in place, but until you do it, you haven't done it. And that's my worry, although I think the percentage of that is very small. They are not the third most frightening thing to the Oklahoma City Thunder next year. Now, in 3 years, we better be, or we have our own issues.
Let's play a little game real quick. I'm going to ask you who has lower odds to be the MVP, like who's closer to being the MVP or who's more expected to be the MVP next year, Wemby or player B. So who do you think is predicted to be the MVP closer, Wemby or Jalen Brunson?
Wemby.
Correct. Wemby or Joel Embiid?
Oh, Wemby.
Correct. Wemby or Cade Cunningham?
Well, Cade's further along on a team that should continue to improve. I'm put Cade.
Still Wemby. Wemby or Luka?
Oh, Luka.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
For a lot of reasons other than even basketball.
Wemby or Giannis?
Oh, Wemby.
It's Giannis.
He's carrying a heavy load, so if he does it, he'll have to do well. Yeah, I get it.
Wemby, Kevin Durant?
Oh, Wemby.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wemby or Anthony Edwards?
I think there's still shine on Edwards' apple. Edwards.
It is Edwards.
Yeah.
So Jokic, SGA, Giannis, Luka, Anthony Edwards, Wemby. 6th favorite to win the MVP next year.
Sounds about right for a third-year guy.
That's wild, man. That is
and still unfulfilled. We hope.
For
this is a lot of hope and dreams.
And you say a third-year guy, I mean, he's played what? He's played just over one full year of games. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot to ask of this dude.
I'll tell you, when you see those 5 minutes, those 6 minutes of block shots, threes, and dunks, you go, I can see how if he does manage to do that, even just twice a week, that's MVP.
Maybe so.
Twice a week, you dominate a quarter with those kind of highlights, and the Spurs are 15, 20 games better, it'll be very hard not to give it to him.
The widespread expectation is that Wemby is going to be the man in the NBA soon enough. If that means the Spurs will suddenly threaten the Thunder, that's to be determined. I mean, a lot of it, we know very little about this coach. What we do know, I haven't been wowed by. I'll tell you that.
No, there's a lot in between here and there. But at the end of the day, players win titles.
Yes.
No matter how good you are, you don't have the horses. You're not in the running.
The number one threat to the Thunder, chaos.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of it talks they talk about Holmgren as an obvious long-term injury risk, no doubt. And you can see how an injury. I mean, Halliburton reminds you that any one injury can affect the way you roll as a team. But that said, man, they've been without him before and seem to keep on rolling.
No team has ever been more prepared for chaos than the Oklahoma City Thunder, because the fix is the next draft. No matter what happens, I'm drafted in the top 10. No matter what happens, the fix is next year. Either I use the pick or I trade the pick, but the fix is already here. No team's been more prepared, at least at the onset, with depth and incoming talent than the Oklahoma City Thunder. But no team has ever had to face a salary cap structure and a a league that is going through this before. So I don't know if it'll counterbalance and it shakes the apple cart to where the league is just set up to where you can't win over 5 years, or they become the Spurs and no one leaves. Everybody takes a little bit less. Shea is Tim Duncan, who repeatedly renegotiates to allow more room for more guys to stay or to come through. And if he does that, this could go on 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally could be every other year they're here because they have number 1 draft picks for the next 10 years. They just keep coming.
Yep. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm wrong on this Thunder team, but it does feel like this is the first time in a while that it's felt like somebody is set up to go on a big run.
But, Giannis could land someplace tomorrow.
And that's part of the chaos.
Just the craziness of the league.
It also says, like, maybe the league decides to change the rules on defense, and now the way that the Thunder play defense isn't allowed anymore. And,
there's that, or the way that Shea plays offense, that suddenly that forearm ain't allowed anymore. It's come too easy. They've taken Shaq away. They took that. They let the teams play a zone because man to man, we can't stop you. So we'll change the rules to stop you.
A lot of guys in the chat, and there's a ton of ways to build a team. And part of it is, I don't think there's going to be many dynasties moving forward right now, because we thought the Boston Celtics were going to be a dynasty because of Tatum, because of Brown, because they were young, because they had Derek White, because Kristaps Porzingis, and then going to get Drew Holiday, and then all of a sudden those aprons are real, and owners are terrified of those aprons now, in terms of we're either winning or we're blowing it all to hell. And we heard Denver Nuggets owner today talk about Josh Kroenke, talk about how scary those aprons can be, even when you could potentially have a guy like Nikola Jokic.
I think that for us as an organization, going into that second apron is not necessarily something that we're scared of. I think that there are rules around it that we needed to be very careful of with our injury history. The wrong person gets injured, and very quickly you're into a scenario where that I never want to have to contemplate, and that's trading number 15. And so, we're very conscious of that pushing forward and, providing the resources that we can when the moment arrives. But that second apron, is it a hard cap? I'm not 100% sure, but it's something that teams are obviously very aware of going forward.
And those aprons are, I think the only team that may not care about those aprons right now is probably going to be new ownership of Walton, which you heard with the Lakers, because he is also the owner of the Dodgers, and they are spending money like doesn't exist. Like, they do not care. And I believe they might bring that mentality to the Los Angeles Lakers, and aprons be damned. And they're going to go after a title. So that could be something to watch, at least in terms of Walt. Now, as it comes to the Spurs, I don't see them going into aprons very often, which is going to make the draft picks that they hold very, very valuable, because it allows you to replace talent that gets too expensive to keep. The problem is, how expensive is too expensive to keep? Because eventually Victor Wembanyama is going to be making $70 to $80 million per season. Because that's the way, with the rising cap and the rising salaries to match, that these contracts are headed. So there could be, like Claymore says, time to pay SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet. Yeah, SGA is going to be a hell of a pay. And once they pay him, are they going to want to pay a Jalen Williams as well? We already see how detrimental it is to have two guys like that in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown up in Boston. Having two guys making north of $70 million is a very tall order for any NBA franchise when you're talking about these tax aprons and how to build a roster effectively around them. And maybe that's what's going to make these draft picks and having people like Dylan Harper to bring up and then easily let a Vassell or a Keldon or Sohan walk as they continue to build through the draft. And that may be the way to skirt that for NBA teams moving forward, at least the smaller market ones. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star 941 FM, sasportstar.com. I appreciate all y'all for riding along with me tonight. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the steep price that is reportedly being asked by the Spurs, because Brian Wright definitely not playing around with that number 2 pick, which makes me think they have very, very high internal praise for one Dylan Harper. We'll discuss next right here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Help UTSA football make history. Pack the Dome for the Battle of I-35 on September 6th. From now until June 26th, tickets to the Texas State game are 35% off. The Roadrunners are looking to break the all-time home attendance record of 56,743 fans set in the inaugural game in 2011. Be there. Visit goutsa.com/tickets or call 210-458-8872 to take advantage of this 35% offer. Be part of history. Birds up.
If you get arrested, get out of jail fast by calling AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text bail to 474747 or online at mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you one, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans. Call 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
Children's mental health is in crisis. That's why the Kids Mental Health Foundation envisions a future where mental health is a vital part of growing up. Families tell us the challenges are real.
What do you do to feel happy?
I don't know.
Can you describe what it feels like when you're sad?
I get mad easily. I just lay in my bed and be by myself.
When it comes to mental health, do you ever feel overwhelmed?
I do get overwhelmed. You see them struggling emotionally and you're like, where do I go? What do I do?
You're going to find tons of things on the internet, but you want it to be from a trusted source.
I felt like everything that I wanted to provide for her, I wasn't going to be able to do.
We need help.
We need help. Yes, we need help.
Most childhood health resources focus on physical well-being. But what about our kids' mental health? The Kids Mental Health Foundation provides free, expert-developed resources to millions across the United States. Don't wait for a concern or crisis. Early action can be life-changing. Learn more at kidsmentalhealthfoundation.org.
Tens of millions of tickets.
Tens of millions of tickets.
Tens of millions of tickets.
Thank you, VetTix. Thank you.
Thank you, First Tix.
Thank you, VetTix and First Tix.
Thanks to your support, the nonprofits VetTix and First Tix have given away tens of millions of tickets and counting to vets currently serving military, the immediate family of troops killed in action, and our brave, current, and former first responders. These tickets are a meaningful way to say thank you to America's heroes and help them re-engage with American life by giving them free, fun experiences and new happy memories that'll last a lifetime. And now, we want you to be part of the mission. Got extra tickets to concerts, games, or special events? Or want to see if you qualify? We want you to go to vettix.org and firsttix.org today. Give something to those who gave.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I appreciate all y'all for riding along with me tonight on Draft Eve. And don't forget, you can catch the draft right here. You could also go check it out live because Jason and Joe will be broadcasting live from the Root Pub tomorrow to where you can enjoy the draft festivities. Will the Spurs stick and pick it too with Dylan Harper? Is there a bigger move on the way? Giannis front has gotten very quiet as of late. Usually when the Spurs are about to actually make a move, things get pretty quiet on the home front. So no telling what it could happen to Hector Jimenez on our YouTube live feed. Remember, We stream live on YouTube. You can comment along there. You can also feel free to call in 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Hector says, do I think that Atlanta's 26 and 7 picks have less value now? I think it's about the same value, maybe a little less. I said last year, once they traded DeJounte Murray, and in return, they got Mojon Barchan. I just thought it was a better fit next to Trae Young. Defensive first wing that was going to not have to command the ball to be able to score. I thought it was a better fit. Atlanta was a better team than a lot of people expected. They were in the playoff. A lot of people thought they were going to be the number one pick. Kristaps Porzingis eminently makes them better than they were this year. Just adding him to that. They didn't give up much to get that. So I think that's big. The NBA is in an arms race right now, and we're seeing a lot of crazy movement around the NBA before the draft has even gotten started. Can't think, how many picks does Brooklyn have now in the first round? 5, 4? They're up to something. They're trying to move up in the draft at some point. You got to remember, the only way Atlanta is going to be really bad is if they suffer a multitude of injuries, first and foremost, Trae Young. Because there's no reason for Atlanta to want to be bad, to want to get the number one pick, because they don't control that pick. So what's their reasoning for helping another team get a great draft position? They're doing everything they can to try and make that pick as bad as they can make it. They've got other people's picks. They hope they're bad, but Atlanta benefits none. So they're going to try and get better. So the Porzingis move is a move to get better for them. And I think it makes them better. As a 9-10 seed this year, adding a Porzingis who can be a 15 to 20 point a game scorer that brings you some defense when healthy and floor spacing to pick and roll and then pick and pop with Trae Young. This could be a very good move. I just wish the Spurs have more players that they could run pick and pops with. They've got a lot of slashers. Devin Vassell's a slasher. Keldon Johnson's a slasher. Dylan Harper's going to be a scorer and a slasher. You look at De'Aaron Fox. He's a guy that plays downhill as well, as Stephon Castle. They don't have a lot of guys like Harrison Barnes who can spot up from outside, come off a screen and nail something. Just stand out on the wing and hit an open three. Need those guys on a roster like San Antonio's. And I think that will help you get the best out of Victor Wembanyama, because it will open the lane for the guys that like to get downhill. And that includes Wemby. Wemby likes to play from the perimeter in, not vice versa. Not in to out. And Wemby's good, and he's efficient when he's down low. But he starts with the ball on the wing a lot of the time. So having the ability to have a multitude of ways to attack teams, and especially when the bulk of your team is built with a bunch of people that like to get into the paint, kind of like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Well, at some point, teams are going to pack the paint. And we've seen them do that to the Spurs before, because they're not scared of their three-point shooters. And you can tell me how Jeremy's been working on his shot and look how pretty it is, and, look at the work he's putting in out in Phoenix. Cool. I saw Ben Simmons do that every offseason. Guy still can't hit a shot outside 6 feet. I need him to take it to the court. And maybe he'll prove me wrong this year and he'll shoot, 37% from 3. That would be awesome. Come on, Gilbert P. You know better. He says on our YouTube live feed, Sohan's going to have the best one-handed three-point shot in the league. It's only his free throws he shoots with one hand. Come on. He uses both hands the rest of the time. Look, there is a ton of things that can unfold, including the fact that we've heard the Spurs actively maybe looking to trade that pick. They're accepting offers. Their asking price is astronomical. Let me get the actual right words from the executive that told Yahoo Sports, Kevin O'Connor, they want, quote, a ridiculous haul, end quote, in return for that number 2 pick, which would presumptively, whoever moves up, would be going to get Dylan Harper. Cool. I'm down for it. Ridiculous haul. Is Brooklyn trying to put together a ridiculous haul with all those draft picks? Do you want to move back to 8 and 22 and 16 and wherever else they hold picks in the first round? Still doesn't guarantee you the opportunity to get any of the guys that the Spurs have actually been linked to, like Kaman Malawach. They've had multiple workouts with him. Apparently, they are intrigued by him, and that he's a dude that the Spurs could use. He's a big. He can protect Wemby, has freaky athleticism, plays defense. I don't think he would command the ball to. He can find his offense within the regular flow of it. And the scraps and the dumps and the things, the offense doesn't have to run through him. I think he would be a great addition to the San Antonio Spurs. I also don't think he's going to be there at 8 where Brooklyn's picking. I do like Cam Johnson. If there's a way that you can end up with Cam Johnson and Kaman Malawach, I'm in. That's a pretty good haul. But then you could also, this is the problem with a guy like Dylan Harper or Scoot Henderson or whoever the second best player in a supposed draft could potentially be, because they could be great, just like everybody says, or they could not, because you don't know how they're going to respond to scheme, NBA, travel, life, defenses, especially with a guy who's been the guy. He has been the guy everywhere he's been. When he comes to San Antonio, Dylan Harper will not be the guy for the first time in probably his career. Can he fit in to being a third, fourth option? Who knows? Look at it this way. He could be the guy that the Spurs asked to come off the bench. Be the guy when you're in the game. You and Keldon go get it. And maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's how they build the depth on this team. Because he is intriguing. As a prospect, he's super intriguing. And he has the traits to be incredibly disruptive as a defender as well. But like I said earlier in the show, and many times before, defense is about want to. But he is the kid of Ron Harper. Ron Harper was a solid defender, both with the Bulls, Lakers, 5-time NBA champ, knows what it takes, knows the effort that's exerted on that side of the ball. It's going to be very interesting, and it all unfolds tomorrow night right here on San Antonio Sports Star and at the Roo Club with Jason and Joe when the Blitz is broadcasting live. More of your comments, calls, and we'll put a bow on the show coming up next here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
You know, the Roo Pub is proven to be the best place to watch games with those 3 massive 170-inch screens and TVs all around. All the games, all the fights, and when you show up at the Roo Pub, show up hungry. The food is fantastic. Open daily at 11. Great for lunch, great for dinner, great for late at night, and the best place to watch a game. Just down from the big blind, right next to the Angry Elephant. The Roo Pub, 281 in Redland Road. We'll see you at the Roo.
Hey, San Antonio, multiple tours overseas, years of protecting the country. It all adds up at University of Maryland Global Campus. Earn up to 90 credits for prior learning, military experience, and training toward our low-cost degree and certificate programs. We call that credit where credit is due. For over 75 years, our dedicated success coaches have been helping service members achieve their goals. Get started with local support and online and hybrid courses right here in San Antonio. Visit UMGC at San Antonio or umgc.edu/SATX.
George Gets Justice.
After being hit by an 18-wheeler, the experienced attorneys of George Salinas Injury Lawyers are San Antonio's choice for getting you the maximum compensation you deserve. With over 110 years of combined experience, they've recovered millions for their clients. 18-wheelers may be bigger than you on the road, but you can be bigger than them in the courtroom. George guarantees that you don't pay unless they win your case. Call 210-225-0909 today for a free consultation.
George Gets Justice. GetGeorge.com.
Uber Eats has deals all summer long. Get Burger King, Subway, Popeyes, and hundreds more local favorites and savor every last bite. That sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
And Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon. I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia. I got a tour of their headquarters. I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
The Gomez Law Firm has been San Antonio's trusted law firm for 50 years. We have Jose with the Gomez Law Firm here with us today. Jose, tell us about the cases you all specialize in.
We do ride-sharing cases. We do 18-wheeler cases, work injuries. We will be happy to take a look at and see if we can help.
If you or your family have been injured in an accident or hit by a company vehicle, you need to visit joegomezlaw.com. Call the Gomez Law Firm at 736-4040.
Imagine owning coastal land with ocean views and world-class fishing just off Matagorda Bay. Well, dream no more. This Saturday, mark your calendars for a pre-4th of July one-day coastal land sale at Driftwood Shores at Wolf Point. We're unveiling incredible coastal properties. We're talking 1+ acre bay access from $49.9, waterfront properties starting at $99.9, or with a barn dominium from just $169.9. Wow! This gated community boasts a waterfront resort-style pool and cabana, your own boat slip and launch with paved roads and underground utilities. It's all happening this Saturday. 1+ acre bay access from $49.9. Waterfront properties from $99.9. With barn dominium for only $169.9. Call now for your private tour at 210-853-0389. Excellent financing is available. Don't wait another minute. Call 210-853-0389. That's 210-853-0389. Freedom starts with land, and land like this won't last long.
Nigel, why does our office look like a casino?
I call it employee engagement.
Folks, right now is the ideal time to hit the jackpot on comfort with Quarter Moon's Lucky 7's AC tune-up. It's just $77 for a complete 7-point inspection.
Excuse me, boss man. I've got a good feeling about that slot machine next to your desk.
Joel, I couldn't get an advance on next week's check, could I?
Call Quarter Moon Plumbing, AC and Heating for your Lucky 7's AC tune-up. Just $77. 210-651-5899.
License number TACLA 141074EM16004.
There's a reason Intuitive Services Group handles our janitorial needs here at 94.1. They're local and serious about cleanliness. From nightly cleaning to detailed floor care, they deliver. We trust them, and you can too. Call Mo at 830-470-3007. That's 830-470-3007.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. I appreciate everybody for riding along with me today. And with all these moves, and with the Nets having 5 first-round picks and looking to move up, is there a scenario where the Spurs could move off of 2? I don't think there is, unless it's for a massive name. I'm talking like Giannis Joker massive. It's not going to be Cam Johnson, 8, Nick Claxton, and future picks, unless those future picks go for 10 years unprotected. I want to watch how everything unfolds. And I'm going to give it time because it's going to take time. It's not going to be one move, one trade. This is likely going to be an entire offseason for the San Antonio Spurs. It's going to be drafting Dylan Harper at 2. It's going to be potentially moving 12 to go get someone. A veteran. Help bring some firepower. And then free agency. Are they going to go get guys like a Luke Kennard or Santi Aldama? Gershon Yabusele? Those are going to be the questions that will be answered in due time. And that due time is coming up real quick. Until then, don't forget, AJ and Rob tomorrow morning on the Morning Huddle from 6 to 10. They'll get you all set for the draft. Then, of course, join Jason and Joe at the Root Pub for the NBA draft. They'll be there from 2 to 6. Get yourself, don't forget, it's steak night. $20, less than that. Get you steak, salad. Go ahead and enjoy the draft in style with a nice ribeye out at the Root Pub. That's going to do it for me tonight. We will talk to you tomorrow when we get you ready for the NBA draft right here on San Antonio Sports Star. This has been Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Are you an annoying coworker sending emails when everyone else is sleeping? Do they ask, how do you sleep at night? Then you should go to Mattress Firm. They have knowledgeable sleep experts that can help you find a better bed, like a Tempur-Pedic. It has technology to keep you cool at night, meaning anyone, even people like you, can sleep. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.